Yo, what's good, guys? It's your boy Limited Talks here, and today we're talking more about some anime. And one of the Love Hina mangaka warns of rising pressure from foreign markets to introduce political correctness into manga. Now, we've always seen these type of articles, right, where Japanese fans are worried the fact of that these massive corporations are gonna manga corporations, whatever, gonna listen to over here what happened in the West to say you need to change this, because remember, Funimation does it all the time, Crunchyroll does it all the time, where they always change something from the original translation because they want to make it politically correct, even though that's not your job. Your job is to translate it. But no, their whole job, what their thing is oh, since we're so big over there in Japan, we can just change what the original translation was, even though it's not your job to do that. It's not your job to change anything. It's your job to translate. That's what your job is. Remember, there was a whole situation of Rising the Shield Hero, Goblin Slayer, Instant Reviewers. Dude, people freaked out over those shows because you saw they were sensitive material. Again, these are up for mature audiences. People know that. But yet they don't seem to understand that just because something this is the case, they want to think that we should change it because people will be sensitive about these topics. Yeah, they are, but guess what? It happens. Stuff like this happens most of the time. I know it's a very sensitive topic, but again, you can't always censor everything, because censoring everything means that you're pretty much ruining the original source material to fit what you want. Well, anyway, we're gonna go by bounding into comics. So mangaka Ken Akamatsu, perhaps best known for the mangaka behind the extremely popular Love Hina series, recently shared his concerns regarding the rising pressure from Western markets to introduce political correctness into manga and the possible negative effects such as a push grab for creators and fans across the medium. Because I think the reason why he says that is because if you do that, it's just the same thing as over here in the West. It'd be the exact same thing. Anime would pretty much become just cartoons, and then mangaka would just become comic books. That's how he probably envisions it. It's listen, you don't tell us how to do our job. That's not your thing to do. Our job is to provide you with the resources to then translate the material. It's not your job to then completely change everything. That's not what your job is. And the fact is, he's right. Hey, listen, I don't want you guys to tell me how to write my story. It needs to be politically correct. I don't think people seem to understand that. I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of the Western media doesn't even understand that. They think oh, we're such a big media that they have to listen to us. That's not the case. I mean, so many mangaka kind of want to say listen, we are worried about the way that the Western media is kind of coming over here and pretty much trying to force our hand. That's what the case is. They're trying to force their hands into becoming more of a Japanese, corporations, and then to change everything about it. Oh, it has to be this, it has to be that, because people over here are sensitive and soft. But whatever. A vocal and outspoken anti-censorship critic in his own right, Akumatsu, but both the subject of political correctness during the opening panel of the recent manga artist Moai conference, an online event held last December wherein various manga creators were invited to discuss their thoughts on the current state of the industry and their outlooks on the future. According to the machine translator of Logme's translation of the panel, when asked for his thoughts on manga and on the overseas market, Akumatsu laughed and responded, "In short, it's politically correct." So political correctness, external pressure is coming, such as the pressure to include political correctness into manga and movies. The mangaka added, "That's dangerous, isn't it?" Akumatsu then explained, "So far, when Japanese manga is at the stage of looking at the world, there is a pressure on the scene to meet more global standards." I think it's not global standard. No, again, because remember, in Australia, they didn't ban manga. I think they pretty sure they banned manga because oh, like certain series because one person said something and they completely ban all manga, like or certain manga that has to go through the like this weird board thing. Like Australia's become more like China if you think about it. Like it has to go through like it goes like certain people, and those people have to agree with it. Australia is just becoming just China. That's if you think about it. I mean, like that's crazy. But like over here in the West, it's more or less of like Crunchyroll and Funimation. Then they go look at it. They say they can change what the heck they want, and then they change it, which is freaking disgusting. I hate that. Like I don't. Again, it's not your job to then change what the original creator wanted. If the original creator wanted like this big titty girl, and you know she did something to the main character, you can't just completely change the scene to be something different. Like that's not how the original work was, and you ruin the original work, and you kind of ruin the industry by changing what you want to see. Like, oh, it has to be this, or it has to be that. And it's like, well, you ruin the whole entire scene. You ruin the whole entire scene, you ruin the series because you try to force your hand into this. Force your hand into making these politically correct, you know, manga, or try to change anime too. I like to have the manga artists unify their opinions to some extent as to whether such things are correct or not, he continued. However, when the sales of works that have been globalized and have no sharp edges are good, they end up saying, oh, political correctness might be good. The very manga sentiments were echoed by co-panelist Takuma Kobayashi, the representative director of Publishing House Number 9 Co. Limited, who similarly opinion, regardless of the company, I think that freedom of expression should be respected, in my personal opinion. Akamatsu later remarked, if you don't go abroad, the political correctness problem isn't a battle at all, which promoted Kobayashi to share his personal idea that I don't think a series will sell that much when it comes to selling itself as politically correct. As true. Okay, like, I think he's saying this about comic books as well. Like, yeah, just because a series is politically correct does not mean it's a good series. Like, why do you think so many comic books are not selling that well? Because people are saying like, oh, this is a politically correct series. Like, remember, like on my last video, the Demon Slayer one, yeah, I was talking about like how like you look at these comic book covers, and they're like terrible. They're bad because they show themselves as politically correct, and then they're just really bad series. The bad series, the art's terrible, the covers are terrible, the story's terrible. Like there's nothing about this series that is super good. Like there's nothing about this series that is super well done and is really laughable to anyone who really likes literature. The point is, manga was released without being conscious of political correctness cannot be read due to the political correctness problem, said Kobayashi. I think this is a mess like a fire. Recalling how he had heard the excitement of Hollywood movies is generally decided by script doctors and scenario doctors, Akumatsu joked, from now on, I like to release various black and whites with political correctness in mind. It may be the same no matter what you look at, like Avengers, concede Akumatsu. I don't think, but after all, it's a hit. Like, yeah, I mean, Love Hina was a hit. It doesn't matter if it was politically correct or not, it was a hit. People don't care. I think Japanese people don't care about if it's politically correct or not, because guess what? It's a fictional story. That's what it is. It's a fictional story on a piece of paper. Remember that. What they like to do is they like to think like these characters are real. Like we have to make them real. They're not real. These are fictional characters in a fictional world on a piece of paper. That's what they are. Like if you turn like a manga page to the side, it will just be a piece of flat paper. That's what it is. It's not hard to imagine. Now, like, a lot of people think like, oh wow, this is like, it needs to be like this, but it's like, but again, it's a fictional work. It's not real. None of these characters have feelings. So I don't know why people are so passionate about it. It has to be politically correct. And turning to the debate of mass appeal versus artistic authenticity, Akamatsu observed, the one that hits may go to Hollywood, but it is better to have freedom of expression. Manga is mainly about freedom of expression, and it feels like you don't have to give into political correctness, noted Akamatsu. Before questioning, is it a loss if the politically correct works get overwhelmingly power? I wonder if that means. However, Kobayashi reassured Akamatsu, even if there is entertainment that goes against political correctness, it will be different in those current idea of political correctness remains the same in 10 years later, 20 years, 30 years, and so on. If it wasn't even 5 years ago, I was told recently, Kobayashi said, the possibility that this will become the standard for the future is not zero, but it may change again. He concluded, that's why I think it's important not to win or lose in the short term, but always create something that you can be proud of as entertainment. Again, you want to express yourself. Don't always be the type of person who's like, oh, I need to follow what everyone else is doing, because what everyone's doing could be bad. I'm just saying, everyone else could be doing is like something whack, something terrible. But then again, you gotta understand that people want to read a good story. They want to read a good story. They want to read a good premise. The way they do that is you want to make sure you're reading a good story, and you make a good story that is entertaining. Not it has to be politically correct because that's what everyone else is doing, because that's boring. There's nothing good about politically correct manga. There's really nothing there. So anyway, that was an article by Running Comics, and again, I don't think that like manga and anime is gonna bend the knee to American studios, because again, like, think about this, they make a ton. I know they make a ton of money over here in America, but guess what? They serve the Japanese fans. So I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what's gonna happen. But anyway, I want to look at this article too. Does Japanese fans wonder if anime needs to be more politically correct for the West? Again, see, this is a lot of things. So like, does anime need to start becoming more politically correct for overseas audiences? Now, this is something that I've always seen. Like, Japanese fans, does anime need to become more politically correct for the West? Like, no, it doesn't. Again, this article about saying Japanese fans wonder. One, I talk to a lot of Japanese people, like on Twitter and stuff like that. They hate politically correct manga. They hate politically correct manga and anime because guess what? They don't want that. They don't need that. Because guess what? It's their works. If you want to work on something, then go ahead. Hey, listen, if you want to change something up, why do you think American, like, they made a Deadpool manga and it completely did it pretty much banged over here in Japan, while in America they can barely sell a Deadpool comic book now? I mean, like, it's crazy. I'm looking at these comments and look at these. Like, look at this. No, for the love of God, no. And the answer is absolutely not. The entire reason why that we love anime over here is because it's not like cartoons and other shows that have been tainted by shoving things in our face. The story is what matters, not whether there are social brownie points being earned. This is the worst thing I've ever heard. No, it's this kind of thing that gives us the okay. Oh, go double the Netflix Death Note live action. Just no. Why do you think it spread? Why do you think it spread globally so strongly? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We like anime the way it is. Please don't change it. Yeah, see, the absolute last thing I want to see is to see Japan adhere to Western political correctness. Most people, at least where I'm from, are sick of social agenda being shoved down our throats. Everyone's tired of it. Most normal people are, because they don't want to see like these you have to be like this. You have to agree to these social norms. Like, that's not what it is. This is not how it works. And it's stupid the fact that like they think that we want this. We don't want this. We want something different. We want something that's actually better. I can't even watch a new season of live action shows because every damn thing caters to the PC crowd. That said, I agree that quality manga anime is becoming harder and harder to find, but I started watching a series and decided I don't like it. I just move on. I've always had my fill of inclusiveness in the fanfiction community. Oh God, he just keeps on going. Please don't stop making up anime a platform for social justice issues. And then it comes over this article over here. Does anime need to stop becoming more politically correct for overseas audiences? No, it doesn't, because you don't need that. People don't care. Absolutely not. If anime creators start worrying about being politically correct for other countries, then it would cease to be anime and become just another cartoon. PC should be illegal. This article, similar to a previous one here, is asking the wrong question or making the wrong assumptions, possibly by being too generalized. Anime is a type of entertainment with multiple genres and content as varied as the messages or markets catered for. Totoro is anime, and so is Fist of the North Star. Simply saying all anime must be PC is too simple, especially as standards of political correctness is also a matter of opinion. However, just like any media, anime has and will continue to be reflect or adhere to social norms or ideas. It's not immune to change around the world, and nor should it be. That said, I think it would be an error to confuse being Western or being politically correct either. And there's a lot of people are kind of like talking more about this, like saying, yeah, I mean, like I think it's be the wrong idea to like follow becoming politically correct, because a lot of people don't care for that, right? The problem you have is that everyone wants to be politically correct, and you can't be politically correct all the time because animes change over the years. Fist of the North Star and JoJo, like you can't really. I mean, what are you gonna do with JoJo? Like JoJo's really popular. You can't just do JoJo. I mean, yeah, you can do with some series, but like not every series needs to be politically correct, because it just be like similar to cartoons. You know, anime's cartoons, but like it's just anime's cartoon. But you get my point, man. I don't like the idea of like Western audiences trying like pretty much foreign markets. Like it's like I think you call them Western because that's what I'm like America. Because America's kind of forced trying to shove their hand into everything. But I really don't like the idea of trying to force Japan to try to do what they want to do. Like, hey, listen, you have to do what we say because we know what's good. Man, I didn't like the way this is going. Well, anyway, guys, that's what you guys today. Tell me, do you guys think that like I know for sure that they're not gonna bend the knee, but do you think that like maybe someone like some Japanese congressman or whatever might do something to do this? I highly doubt it, but like anyway, tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Also, what you guys want me to react to? I would love to see what you guys think I should react to. Well, that's what guys today. As always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Oh, and also, don't forget that like and subscribe. If you press that red subscribe button, it becomes gray, and then press that bell notification and press on all to receive all my notifications. Well, see you guys tomorrow. Peace.